Hello and welcome. So today I am super excited because we finally get to talk about the latest from Bond number 9, which is New York Chic. Now, this is a fragrance that I did discuss with you during a Chatty Scent Corner a couple of weeks ago, and I shared with you that I was so looking forward to this fragrance because it is different than the other Bond number 9. So if you're a Bond number 9 collector, you know that all of their fragrances are basically inspired by either a neighborhood or a street of New York or the vibe and feel overall of a specific area in New York. But this one is different because this one captures the entire vibe, feel, and essence of the entire city of New York. So for us Bond number 9 collectors, this was already positioning itself to be a very special launch. So today I am ready to discuss all of the details after wearing the fragrance for 2 days in a row. And I have to tell you that from the get-go, I'm going to tell you right now that this is a deep, deep love for me. And I am going to share with you a couple of other Bond number 9 fragrances. I'm not going to rank my entire collection for you today because I'm in a bit of a rush today. And I did want to get this review out to you because some of you have reached out directly and requested that I review it sooner rather than later. But I have to tell you that this is a very special fragrance and it truly did capture my heart immediately upon first sniff. But I'll tell you all the details about it in a minute. Before we do start, I do want to let you know that this was kindly sent to me by the Bond number 9 team. Anyway, but let's go ahead and jump right in. And if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. Alright, so before we jump into the detailed review of the fragrance, let's just talk a little bit about this launch because this one is really special. So as I was explaining to you in the opening, typically a Bond number 9 fragrance is inspired by a neighborhood or a street or the vibe or feel of a specific area of the city of New York. They tend to capture that vibe or that street or that neighborhood entire feel within their fragrances. But what makes this one different is that this one is designed to capture the essence of the entire city of New York, the feel, the vibe, the fabulousness of being in New York. Now, through time, we've had other very much iconic fragrances within the Bond number 9 portfolio of fragrances. And let's start with one that I'm sure that most of you are familiar with, just so that you get a little bit of an understanding in case you're new to Bond number 9 about why their fragrances are so special and why this launch is so unique. So let's start with NoMad. So NoMad is a fragrance that is one of their top sellers. And I know that many fam members are really in love with NoMad. Who wouldn't be? It is an exquisite scent that really captures the essence of the dreamy wanderers in the city of New York. So when you're in New York, you will inevitably see people just wandering around and they're like in a dreamy state, just looking around, just in awe of the energy, the vibe, the vibrancy of such an incredible city. That is what NoMad tries to capture. Next, let's talk about Gold Street. So Gold Street is also one of their top sellers, and Gold Street really captures the feel and the vibe of one of the main streets within the New York financial district. It is opulent, it is rich, it is an exquisite scent that really captures the essence of the energy that you find on that street in New York. And then last but not least, and of course, I am sure most of you are familiar with this one, this is Madison Avenue. And needless to say, Madison Avenue really embodies the feel and the vibe of one of the best shopping streets, period, in my opinion, which is Madison Avenue. That is where all of the key shopping boutiques are found in New York. And this fragrance really captures the essence of that energy, of that vibe. So as you can see, and those are just 3 examples, because you guys know that I'm a serious Bond number 9 collector, I can tell you that New York Chic would be now my 18th bottle and counting, because there is just something so special. I am totally into the vision and the concept behind the development of a fragrance, and Bond number 9 offers that and so much more. Now let's talk about this new gem, because this one is really, really special. So as I mentioned before, New York Chic is really a fragrance that was inspired by the fabulousness of the city of New York. It is a fragrance that celebrates the ultra-tony nature of the city of New York, all about opulence and rich and fashion and style, and just overall being quite chic, as the name itself says it. Now, this is a fragrance that is being launched during the fall, well, the entry of the fall, but right before Fashion Week, the Fall Fashion Week. And I have to say that after wearing this fragrance for a couple of days, I can totally see why they would launch it now and why it is truly the perfect fit. Because to me, this fragrance will give you the complete feel of like where the runway meets Fifth Avenue. Truly, exquisitely beautiful. It is rich, it is vibrant, it is opulent, it is full of a very positive and forward-thinking energy that I really can't explain. That is the vibe that you're going to get from the fragrance. But later on, after the review, as always, of course, I will speak to the feel of the fragrance. And then we're really going to talk in detail about everything that I've already experienced while wearing this fragrance. So New York Chic is a fragrance that opens up sweet, a tad fruity, and woody. But at that, fruity notes have not been disclosed in the notes of this fragrance, but I think that fruitiness that I'm picking up in the opening is coming from the note of Davana. But it is a fruitiness that I clearly pick up on. As the journey continues, the fragrance will start to give you a little bit of like a gourmand quality to it. It really does kind of start to get a little bit yummy for a minute there, but this is truly not a gourmand fragrance in my opinion. This is like a warm, spicy, woody fragrance with other notes and touches that we'll discuss in more detail. But as the journey continues, the sweetness and the booziness with which the fragrance opens does increase. And it does give way to like a very interesting honeyed kind of scent. And I say interesting because honey has not been disclosed as one of the notes in this fragrance, but I do get that honeyed quality to the fragrance. As the journey continues, and now that you're like midway in the olfactory journey, you're going to clearly pick up on the note of tuberose. But the tuberose doesn't come in by itself, at least not to my nose or on my skin. I get like a bouquet of florals, and it's really just white florals, but within those florals, the one that does stand out is the tuberose. And the tuberose brings like a touch of sensuality and like allure to the fragrance. I cannot explain it. That is the moment where you're really going to completely be enthralled with this fragrance, and where it's really going to become addictive to you, because you will start to sniff it and you'll want to sniff it again and sniff it again and again. But that's when the tuberose comes in. One thing that I've realized after using the fragrance a couple of times and then trying it again is that sensuality that I get from the tuberose is aided or supplemented by the presence of tobacco. But the tobacco is kind of faint, at least to my nose and on my skin. The tobacco is not a key player in the role of this fragrance. The tobacco is there, it is present, but it does not take a dominant role. It just plays very nicely. It's almost like the tobacco here is designed to add depth and character to different notes and accords of the fragrance. And during the olfactory journey, while you are going to pick up on the tobacco, at no point does the tobacco really become dominant. As you approach the dry down, you are going to notice that the woodiness has increased, definitely. And that woodiness, as it continues to intensify, it's not like overpowering or overwhelming because the blend is just incredible in this fragrance. But you are going to start to pick up more and more on those woody notes, and it makes way like for a very clear patchouli and oud. But the oud here is really not a factor because to me, the oud here is like a level 2, which means that you are going to pick it up, but it is so smooth. There's nothing barnyardish or too intense about the oud. This fragrance to me, to my nose and on my skin, is not about the oud at all. And one of my concerns, to be honest with you, and I think I shared this with you during the Chatty Scent Corner, is that when I read the notes, I thought to myself, oh, patchouli, oud, and Davana, who's really not my friend most of the time. But I have to tell you, this is a game changer for me because those 3 notes have been done exquisitely in this fragrance. The blend is just magnificent. I can't speak highly enough to the blend and the scent overall of this fragrance. It is very addictive. But within that woodiness, as I said before, you are going to get clearly the patchouli. The patchouli does not become dominant at any point, but it is present. And the oud, while present, at least to my nose and on my skin, is a bit faint. Add all this with that woodiness comes like a smokiness that adds to that sensual vibe and feel of the fragrance. It's just going to put you in a totally different mental space. At the dry down, you are going to get the most exquisite scent. There is not one Bond Number 9 fragrance in my collection that I can even compare to this fragrance because none of them are such as this one at all whatsoever. And no Bond Number 9 that I have ever sniffed or that I have tried and then decided not to pick up, this one does not remind me of any Bond Number 9 fragrance, and it really does not remind me of any fragrance that I have in my collection or that I've ever sniffed. This is a fragrance that at the dry down is going to give you a complete, rich, fabulous, energized, like a very open perspective, individual kind of vibe. And it is sweet, a tad boozy with a touch of a floral, but not much, with that woodiness and a ton of depth and character. It is a fragrance that I think is perfect for those moments where you really want to like feel a certain kind of way, whether you're going casual or you're going more formal or you're going for an all-out, very formal event. This fragrance is musk based, and the musk I would say is a level 2. Again, I barely pick up on the musk. I mean, I picked up on the musk because I think I was looking for it because I saw it in the notes, but otherwise I don't even think that I would have picked up on the musk because the musk here is a very light level 2. It could have been a 1, but I'll say that it's a level 2, but it's not animalic in any kind of way. Same thing with the oud. The oud is a level 2. You are going to pick up on it, but it is so faint that unless your nose is trained to pick up on oud, you're not going to pick up on the oud in this fragrance whatsoever. This fragrance is perfection for the seasons of fall, winter, and early spring. To me, this is a cool weather fragrance all the way. While I have loved for years, you know, all of the fragrances that Bond Number 9 launches for the spring and summer seasons, I have to tell you that this fragrance is perfection for the fall, winter, and beginning of the spring season. That's really what this fragrance was designed to cover. I can't imagine myself pulling this during a very hot summer day or a very warm day period. This is perfection for those days where you're wearing like a cashmere outfit and you're wearing some beautiful boots and you're wearing like a swing coat. It is just elegance and sophistication in a bottle. Although I think that you can wear this for just about any occasion, the one occasion that I would be cautious with, that I know that I would not pull it for, is like to go to the gym or to go to Pilates or go jogging, any activity where you know that you may or will perspire. I do not recommend that you use this fragrance because, and we'll talk about it in a minute, this is a quite intense scent that may be a bit much for you if you wear it in one of those situations. You may choke yourself and definitely those around you. This is a fragrance that, let me just tell you, so the first day that I wore this fragrance, as soon as I stepped out of my room, my husband asked me what I was wearing. My husband absolutely loves this fragrance. He loves it on me, but in his opinion, this is really a unisex fragrance. But he says that on me, it does lean to the feminine side. And that is what I'm here to say, because I do agree with him. So on him, it is completely unisex, and it is a fragrance that we both think anybody can wear because it's really unisex in my opinion. But on my skin, it takes like a bit of a tinge because it becomes a bit more honeyed, and it is definitely like leaning to the feminine side. But that's on my skin. On paper, it is completely unisex. Now, very important for you to know is that this is not a fragrance that you want to overspray at all, because this one does border on beast on my skin, which means that it's giving me way above the 8-hour mark without me having to overspray or respray it. It is a fragrance that has a very strong projection that exceeds the 2-hour mark. I mean, you're going to sniff yourself immediately. And if you overspray, you are going to choke yourself, because that actually did happen to me. You know, when I first sprayed it, I loved the scent so much that I just oversprayed, and it was a bit much. I had to leave the room that I was in. I had to go outside and allow myself to air out a little bit, because it's really a very, very intense fragrance. At that, it has a sillage that will capture all types of attention. This is not the fragrance that you want to wear if you want to go below radar, if you want to be understated, if you do not want to be noticed. Oh no, this fragrance is about expressing your fabulousness in an unapologetic and bold kind of way. That's what this fragrance is really about. So you really have to be careful for what occasions you use it, and also how much of it do you apply. I would start by just spraying my pulse points and take it from there and see how much more of the fragrance you need in order for you to feel the way you like to feel when you wear a fragrance. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my experience with this fragrance. So as I told you before, as soon as I stepped out of my room, my husband did ask me what I was wearing, because this scent is absolutely gorgeous. But we also went out and we were sitting at a bar. We were having some appetizers and a couple of drinks, and we were just hanging out. And the person next to me turned around, and it was a gentleman, and he said, "I'm sorry, I typically don't ask, but what are you wearing? Because you smell incredible." And it was this fragrance. This fragrance will capture the attention of everybody around you. There is no ignoring your presence if you're wearing this fragrance. And at that, the scent is there's just something so exquisitely addictive about this fragrance that I cannot explain. This by far is the one Bond number 9 fragrance that I have in my collection that captures the most number of compliments, attention, and that wears the best. And you guys know that NoMad definitely accomplishes all that, but this is amazing. So let's talk about the feel of this fragrance. This is a fragrance for an individual that is bold, as I said before, and very unapologetic in their ways, but they're not arrogant or rude. No, they're just very confident about their fabulousness. They know that they're fabulous. They make no excuses for it. They own it. They walk in it. They live in it. This is an individual that is very free in the sense of they are free from the need of people approval. That is not what they are about. They are very sophisticated and elegant in their ways, and there is an energy that comes from them that really pulls people. This is the kind of individual who will typically be surrounded by people just wanting to have a conversation or just wanting to understand what is it that they're all about. That is the type of pull that you get from this fragrance, and that is the energy and the vibe. To me, this is definitely a fragrance that was created to have that kind of effect on you and all of those around you. To me, this is a fragrance that really speaks to the feel of being in the city of New York, to getting dressed to go to dinner, to go to the theater, or to just wander around the streets and just walk around and enjoy the air, the people around you, everything that's going on. It's a city that is vibrant. And when you wear this fragrance, I think you're going to feel that vibrancy for sure. And you are definitely going to feel fabulously sophisticated and elegant and ready to take on the world. It is an exquisitely done fragrance, and I just cannot speak highly enough of the scent because, wow. Now, you guys know that I have a pretty large Bond Number 9 collection, and I'm here to tell you that this one is now my favorite. Truly. This one is my favorite. This is absolutely incredible. And I think that what happened with me is that I was not expecting it to be this amazing. Like, do I love Bond Number 9 fragrances? Most of them. There have been a couple that I really have not enjoyed. But I think that when I read the notes of this one, I thought that maybe there were a couple of notes and accords that would not sit well with me. So it may have been like a strong like or something like that. So when I first sniffed it, I just could not believe it. I just could not believe that this was so incredibly exquisite, because that's what it is. But anyway, I highly recommend this fragrance. And I really think that you should try and get your nose on it, but be ready to be completely obsessed with it. This is a fragrance that whether you're a Bond Number 9 collector, fan, or not, this is a fragrance that if you are a perfume lover, you really need to get your nose on, because I think you are going to be very pleased. For me, this is a home run and a solid, one of the best releases I've seen from Bond Number 9 in a long while. And you guys know how I feel about Bond Number 1, because Bond Number 1 used to be my number one until this one came along. I mean, so they've had a lot of solid releases recently, but this one, now this is masterpiece level for me, and I give it a 10 out of 10. Please let us know if you've gotten your nose on this fragrance, because a couple of fan members have DM'd me letting me know that they did go, in store and they had the opportunity to sniff it and that they really did enjoy it. But I would like to get other opinions. All right, fam. So we've reached the end of this review, and I hope that this was helpful. I hope that I was able to answer all of your questions. And if you have any additional questions, you know where to find me. I am really so happy with this new launch. I can't speak highly enough of it. I'm gonna have to be very careful to not, really use this one really quick, because this is quite addictive. But remember, you do not need to spray much of this fragrance. Please keep that in mind, because it did choke me when I applied it the first time. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today, and I will see you all in the next video.